You guessed it, we're in the Big Book of Bull, second edition today. And something happened earlier that just kind of, I didn't like. I believe today is day 65 of the Nancy Guthrie missing case. Now this morning, I watched the Easter message from Savannah. Now she starts off with pastels, eggs, bunnies, and then good old Jesus brings up the rear. Yeah, that's how I felt about it. Now, to me, it felt scripted. It felt written and rehearsed. But it also made me feel there is some resentment there. Now, I understand grief. People reach out and they blame many things, and that happens. So I'm not judging, but I wanted to bring that to you because I'm discerning. And I believe, if you will, there's a few little Easter eggs in this. The fact that she speaks of the grave. But the one thing that she mentioned, and it really kind of bothered me, was Jesus on the cross, the crucifixion, and how she made it feel as though Christ was perhaps apprehensive, didn't understand the pain, almost made it feel like this was something that he was forced to do. And why, to me, would you, now I'm paraphrasing here, because that's how I felt for that message. Why would you put that in an Easter message? Because an Easter message, resurrection, is supposed to be a celebration because the world would be saved. I'm going to show you. Because she quoted the Bible, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Yes, this is my Bible, well used. Why have thou forsaken me? Why have you forsaken me? And she almost made it feel that Jesus felt betrayed and that that's how she feels. But I get that. See, that's a part of grief. I get that. But in all this, where is Cameron? Where is Annie? And where is Tommaso? Have we heard anything from them except the one part that still bothers me from Annie that said, Mommy, come home. As though Nancy could just get up and skippity-doo right out of wherever she was or taken. So this whole thing just seems so odd and scripted, and even Hollywood. That interview with Huda, Howda, Gouda, Gouda, it's all cheesy to me. This whole thing, when she was with her, all I could hear was Hoda. I don't know how to, I'm sorry. Hoda sniffing. All I could hear was the sniffing and the licking of the lips. And I wonder, was she licking her chops? Thinking that, hey, because she was taken over for Savannah. Okay, I don't want to get off on this. We'll come back to that. But here's where I want to show you, my darlings. We're going to first turn to Matthew in the book of Matthew, chapter 27, I believe. Let me find it here for you. Let me find it. For some reason, it went away. Let me find it. No, there it is. Had the wrong page. Matthew 27. If you want to get your Bibles out, this is King James Version. We're only going to be focusing on verse 46, but we're gonna start at 45 so you get the context of this. Okay, here we are. Now from the 6th hour, that is 3 p.m., there was darkness over all the land unto the 9th hour. That is 6 p.m. Let's see, verse 46. And about the 9th hour, 6 p.m., Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. That is to say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Now that's what she was quoting, okay? And she took it as though, I took it as though she was pretty much saying, well, Jesus was people build sermons around that little verse without doing a lot of research. And here's where it comes in. Let's back up to a time where before Jesus even came to earth, before he was born, before he walked this earth. Let's turn to Psalm 22. And David wrote the Psalms as a musician, right? The Psalm of David. I'm just going to write just write down Psalm 22:1. Psalm 22:1 says, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Why art thou so far from helping me and from the words of my roaring? Now, you know what this means? Jesus wasn't on the cross because he was resentful or afraid or scared. Jesus was saying that, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Because prophecy was fulfilled. That was a prophecy in Psalm 22:1, and by Jesus quoting the prophecy, because in the next verse it says Jesus gives up the ghost, meaning his spirit left his body. For me, this whole Easter message has a big question mark. What in the absolute heck? Now I'm going to give you a little context about this. That phrase that he spoke, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, is Aramaic. That was the common vernacular in Judea in the 1st century. This was the phrase recorded in Aramaic with the Greek text of Matthew's Gospel. So you see, we have Aramaic and Greek as I scribble. Now here's a little background I want to give, and then maybe you can, because in that same, if you go down a few verses in Matthew, the guards were thinking that Jesus was calling out for Elijah when he said, Eli, Eli. And they basically taunted him and said, oh, well, why doesn't Eli just drop down and save you? Ugh. Oh boy. Right? But let's continue. Now, Aramaic versus the Hebrew. Many scholars, when they look at this, they agree that the particular phrasing is Aramaic. It is heavily rooted in the Hebrew Psalm of 22, specifically in 22:1 in the translation. This phrase uses Eli, okay? It uses Eli in the Hebrew form rather than versus Eloi, which is Aramaic form. So this is Hebrew, okay? And this is Aramaic. There is an indication of the blending of Hebrew and Aramaic known in the first century Judea. So here is a cultural context that I'd like to give to you. Aramaic was the primary language used for daily conversations back in that time when Jesus walked the earth, while Hebrew was typically reserved, get this now, for religious context, and the Koine Greek, that is this, there's several ways to pronounce that. I choose Koine, actually, is how I like it. The Koine Greek was used for trade and politics. You see, even though the crucifixion of Christ was very spiritual, it was very political as well. If you read back in it, it certainly was. Matthew, which I like the book of Matthew, the reason I do is because Matthew was a scholar, but he was a tax collector. That's not why I liked him. But before he started to follow Jesus, Matthew was this tax collector and would keep immaculate records of everything, every place, everyone, everything happening. So if you want to find out everything, go to the book of Matthew. If you want to find something from perhaps a medical standpoint, go to the book of Luke, because Luke was a physician. Matthew records this specific phrase, the Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, in foreign words to highlight the profound emotional nature of the moment on the cross. While Jesus likely spoke in the Greek in his encounters with Roman authorities, and this part specifically, the intimate cry to God was in his native Aramaic. How do you like that, apples? So, Miss Savannah, if I can find that, you can too. So for me, this whole Easter message took a big turn. Because not only that, give me a second here, not only that, she talked about the grave. And you can tell she looked a little on the snippy and snarky side. But I'm just going to ask the question, does she know? Does she think? And what connects those two questions? Does she know if Nancy has passed away and gone to the upper room? Does she think that Nancy has passed away and gone to the upper room? Where is Annie? Where is Tommaso? Where is Cameron in this message? To me, this was Hollywood. I'm sorry. To me, this was scripted, and in a very, the presentation was bad in my opinion. The message was even worse in my opinion. It ended up with basically lean on Jesus even in bad times. Well, let's not start out with pastels, eggs, and bunnies then. Because quite frankly, I don't think I've ever had to lean on a bunny or an egg. There's things about this case. It's been a long time since I've seen a case that has not made sense to a certain degree, but the more we get into this, the more it does make sense to me, and that is my theory, and it can be theory only, and I'm sticking to it, of the Grand Junction, Colorado, of everything that happened during that time frame between 2019 interview and now. And that goes from the island guy. Now, I mentioned this in my Saturday Night Live. That's a show, isn't it? Yeah, mine. Okay, so I mentioned that in Saturday, okay? In 2018, yeah, I'm getting a little off track here, but this is important. In 2018, when the Epi guy got found out, let's just say that, was found out about his dastardly deeds, he ordered 380 gallons, that's a lot, of sulfuric, I think that's how you spell it, maybe not, sulfuric acid. Sulfuric? No, it's F. Sulfuric acid. There you go. I know you all can correct me. Okay. But what do you use sulfuric acid for? Oh, that's the Amazon truck. Delivery. Give me a second. Okay, he's gone now. What do you use sulfuric acid for? To get rid of evidence. You can look it up. I'm not going to mention it here. Do me a favor. Watch the comments, because a lot of them get held. If you talk about people being in the traffic department, or if you talk about names, they get held, and I don't see them anyway. So don't get mad if you think I'm not answering. It's just that it's not me. It's not even the tubes. It's sometimes the advertisers, okay? They don't like that sort of thing. They don't want whatever. And I've got to abide, because I know a lot of people's things are going bye-bye, and I don't want that to happen here. So if you get a chance, I want you to see that message. Now, I'm going to leave the big book of Bull open, and we're going to do what I call a lightning round. Let me get set up for that. I'll be right back. Now, if you've not seen me do a lightning round before, it is basically me asking a question and getting an answer. And one thing leads to another. I'm going to leave this open because I think it's very significant. Now, some of you have asked in the comments, do I feel that Nancy will be found? I'm going to say in whole. Not in a hole. Do I believe that the perps will ever be caught? Not the correct ones. Listen to that very carefully. Not the correct ones. We have Mush out here today, and let's get started. Question being now, clearing the energy from the deck. My first question was, does Savannah feel that her mother will come home? And for me, she doesn't see her way through. She doesn't see that happening. So now she's in protective energy mode. something very interesting about this card I want to share with you. You see this little, thanks to Moisha, I'm telling you, I know you like him too. I really love this, I have to tell you. This little dot right here above the blindfold, that represents the third eye. And that represents that when your sight, your eyesight, is limited or lacking, sometimes the third eye will open. Now, I believe that this is an indication that she's trying to look at things through a spiritual realm, and it's being very difficult. And please know this. I'm not cutting her down. I just wish there were something a little different that happened than this Easter message. But, you know, she's got to do what she feels right. Now, here's the interesting thing. This person here has their arms crossed with swords, double-edged swords on either side, crossed. And notice that their legs are not crossed. So it's not a full body protect your energy. Could be just protecting your heart. Could be just protecting your sight, your mind. And look, this is not a water element card. This is an air. Nancy is a fixed air sign. But you see, we have a reference of water and mountains here. Here's the thing. We can tell, I have people that send me messages and emails. If you know so much, why don't you just go get her? If you know so much, well, first of all, that's not my place, and I'm not going to mess with evidence, number one. Number two, when you step in over an investigation like that, you can be charged yourself for tampering with evidence. That's something I just don't dig. Secondly, I can tell them all day long my opinion, which has happened. And beyond that, I can't force anybody to go see anything. So we just wait. And in this particular situation, we're waiting, just like this person. Now, yeah, so much for lightning, right? Okay, so here we are. We have these swords going off. Just the tip of the swords are touching the frame of the card, which means they're not yet done, but she feels that it's almost done. It's almost over, is what she feels. Next question. Okay. Will there be any indication of who really did this? Will the truth come out of who abducted Nancy? These two cards, and you can see, yes, they're very well used. I call this deck the old boy because I've had it for decades, and it's been through the ringer, but it gives me great messages, and that's what you got to remember. These two cards, for me, if you see 1111 today, I saw that today while I was watching her message, as a matter of fact. If you see the 1111, know that there is a divine inspiration over this case. The family has not been left by God and by Christ. Might feel like it. I get it. Because that Four of Wands is all about the home. It's a fire element. But you see, there's openness that goes around with it. And every time I say that, in this case, I think of the open doors. There's love there, celebration, but what kind of celebration will it be now? Is it a celebration of life? I predict to you that they will most likely, since we are on day 65, go, I would say, a total of 6 months before they start, maybe 4, before they start talking about a declaration of death. That takes a judge to sign off on that. Because quite frankly, I don't see that she's coming back. Not as they knew her to be. This, and it's amazing because this is the 4, this is a 5, together is 9, and 9 is kind of the completion. It's the end of the line. Now, the Hierophant is also the Taurus. So could this be in the month of May when this comes around? Could we find out that she is there going to be DNA? Is there going to be an indication? Will they find something? When I say that they will not find her, I'm going to tell you she's not the way she was when she left that house. And do me a favor, make a side note. I'm dropping another video over on True Oracle today, so you don't want to miss that one. This is all about spiritual connotation coming together, but it also means a couple, a married couple. Now, I also do not believe that Savannah will stay at NBC long. It may take her, she may be there this year. I don't think that she'll ever be the same. Not from what I saw this morning. Now, will there be more evidence come up that will lead to something? Because here's the thing, my darlings. Have you seen this? Look at this. Trying to figure out where to put things. Just as I said that. This is a pentacle, the 7 of Pentacles. 7 is the number of spiritual completeness. But it's also this card. This guy's trying to get organized because they've got some things and he's trying to figure out where to put this one. The logical place would be here, but not really. So they're going to have to move some things around. Now, what I'm going to say about this is, have you noticed the patterns? It seems like once a week there's something that comes out that is a little baby distraction, and at the end of the day, we ain't got nothing. Have you noticed that? One week it's about, I don't know, name it, right? One week it's about this perpetrator and the images. Well, I think that happened for about 10 days. Everybody was on that. And then we're talking about Annie and Tommaso's car, somewhere in there. And then we're talking about this, and then we're talking about that. And then it comes to the propping open of the gate and propping open of the back doors. And then before that, it was about Nanos and his dislike in that whole area and how they're calling for him to resign. And then we find out that there was a rookie on. Do you see how this is called trickling? Trickling. It's obvious they don't have a PR person. That's what they need. They need a PR person that will stand up there and say, okay, every Monday we're going to have an update on the Nancy Guthrie missing case. And this is what needs to happen. And this is my opinion, but I'm very strong on this. They made it a worldwide sensation. So they need to then, instead of getting upset, because some things that I know is they're upset about the people that are calling in on the tip line. And it can be everything from great evidence to people's opinions. And then you have those who feel that they stood outside and they saw a tornado, and that tornado blew up a cloud that spelled go forth or do what, right? right? You know what I mean. And they listen to all of this, and then people get mad that, oh, they don't listen to me. Well, the tip lines are not for opinions. The tip lines are for tips, and people don't realize that. So in my opinion, what they need to do is sit out on Sunday and then Monday make the plan and give the update. Look, today is our update. It is week number whatever, or is it day 65. And we have this person working over here, and we have this, and we are hard at work on this. We will take a few questions. We don't want any confusion. And quite frankly, we don't have anything yet, but we're still working on it. And then give a message. You can run, but you can't hide. We will find you. We are best in the world. And I'm talking about the 3-letter agency when it comes to kidnapping, abductions, and so forth. We can say, we will find you. It's a matter of time, and your time is running out. And especially if you've done something to Nancy Guthrie, because there is the unaliving penalty in the state of Arizona, and that goes along for anyone who has anything to do with anything at all. So even if you drove the car, you helped somebody make arrangements for a schedule, you're up for it too. Could that be why people are really tight-lipped and not saying anything? It could be. In my opinion, I believe that there had to be someone working with the perps to allow them to understand what Nancy's schedule was, and especially how things were in the home. Where were the cameras? Where, because scouting the outside is one thing, but scouting the inside is another. Because surely to the heavens, they didn't take 41 minutes to go in there and smash cameras. And they knew that they needed to get in there, do their business, and get out. Usually there's a plan A and a plan B. You'd stick with it as best you can. And you know that there can be something that steps in, so you've got to just do the best you can, and then if not, you execute plan B. But somebody, in my opinion, helped to organize this. My opinion. Let's keep going. What's going to happen with Sheriff Nanos? Whoa, that hit my thumb. I'm going to put him back here. So we're not going to take that, but that was kind of that was a thing, wasn't it? Okay. What's going to happen with Sheriff Nanos? Oh. I believe more information will be coming out. I've thought this from the beginning. Will there be somebody who steps up and accuses him of inappropriate behavior among everything else? This is also the sign of Gemini. See how the wings go off the frame of the card? We're certainly not done yet with Nanos. Will Nanos be leaving office? Will Nanos be leaving office in the next... No, that's a double question. We can't do that. All right. Will Nanos be leaving office before the end of his term? Yes. This Fool card, oh my, lots of indicators here. This Fool card, while I always say they're not the Fool, in this particular case, I'm not sure. The reason that the sun is white here is because it's void. You see this 0 up here? That's that's called the key of the card. That is not really a 0. It is, but it's considered to be null, N-U-L-L, as in null and void. It means to wipe the slate clean and to start over. This is the first card in the tarot deck. The Magician is the second, but you see a number 1 on the Magician card in the key. Yeah, it's kind of, But the reason they have that is there because it's like this is the beginning of your journey, so you can't even count it as number 1. This is your starting point. He feels that he has a little feather in his cap, that he is very accomplished. And you see, there's a little image there in this little guy's little knapsack right there. Thank you, Moisha. That image is of a phoenix, the phoenix that rises from the ashes. Will he be that punished? I don't think so. Will he leave office in disgrace? As far as we are concerned, will there be so much of a community pushback that there's an urgency for him to go? Most likely, he's going to be stepping down. You see this? Stepping down. All the while, taking credit for many things that he did and ignoring the things that he really did. Last question. Not such a lightning round, is it? But I have to explain it to you. This jumped out at me. We're going to put it back in. Okay, here we are. They keep jumping out, so we're going to take them. My question was going to be Annie, Tommaso, Cameron, and Savannah. And look at this. 4 cards come out. While this particular card is a victory, I don't feel they look at it as a victory as much as they are looking for a victory, not that they have received one. But there's someone in the mix that keeps looking over their shoulder. I'm not naming names. I'm not accusing anyone of anything. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty by a court of law. Well, let's remember that. But this is a sign of Scorpio, this death card. And you see, he's sitting there up there pretty majestic in many ways. He's also got a little feather in his cap, but that's not what he's all about. This card, this flag on this card is the card of harvest, harvesting souls. But you see this in the background? If this looks familiar, that is on the moon card. It's the gates of heaven. You have a priest who is begging for his life, many people who have fallen away, and a child who's just kind of looking like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen now. This is a card that when it comes up, it doesn't really mean that in many instances, but it means that it's an abrupt end and a brand new beginning. Something happened that was an abrupt something and a brand new beginning. And for you Scorpios out there, I'm a little jelly because a Scorpio by nature, I have found in many of you, which I admire, if something happens that there's an end, your little sting can step in and it's just like, okay, fine, it's over, done, I'm moving on. I wish many had that ability to understand what does not serve you does not deserve you. This last but not least card having the red robe. Green is money, red is the passion, compassion, love. This Three of Wands. Now this is a wand and it's fire, and he's got a little victory wreath on his head. People are looking, cheering them on. But here, chosen a particular path to go on. There are, and you can't really see them because my cards have aged, but there's a little boat here. There's a water reference here, and then there's mountains. But this character is looking out over the vast lands of basically saying, the world is at my feet. I can go anywhere. I can look at any place. And this is that growth, opportunity, open doors. Bottom line, they're all moving on. And you know what? Okay, I get that. But I'm going to say one thing. If this was my mother, I wouldn't leave. Especially if I had the money to remain, I would be heading up searches. I would be going to the Pima County Sheriff's Department and telling him, with an agent of my choice, most likely Ubligada, and basically saying, look, Agent Ubligada, you're going to stand here with me when I say this, and that is, we're going to have Cajun Navy come in. We're going to have more dogs come in. We're going to do this. I'm organizing searches. We're going to search the grid. We're going to do this because something is lacking. And you can do what you can to stop me, but the court of public opinion will stop you, sir. And I want you to know I'm not violating any laws. I'm not trampling over anyone's property. But I will tell you, this needs to happen because you have mucked up, I said that with an M, this particular investigation to the point where it's unrecognizable. And why you have done that is beyond me, except that you're just incompetent. And whoever took my mother banked on you being that way. I wouldn't stop. I wouldn't hide. If I were being accused of doing something to my mother, I would stand right up and say, I challenge each and every one, and I will start dropping defamations if you don't stop. Because that's the deal. I'm here, I'm searching instead of hiding. Instead of pulling back. That's just me though. That's my opinion. Thanks for being here, my darlings. Please do me a favor, like, subscribe, comment, put your DNA on the like button because that really helps me. And I'm going to see you over on True Oracle today. Don't miss that one. Big hugs and lots of love to you. Bye for now.